This is what happens when representative government truly is representative government. You go out and you sit eyeball to eyeball with your fellow Minnesotans across the table and ask them, how can we help you? What is it that we're doing that is making it harder for you to be productive, harder for you to be creative, harder for you to be an entrepreneur in our great state? And then let's get it out of the way. It's very simple. We had great responses. We've had a fantastic amount of information. We are as prepared, in my opinion, the time that I've been down here, and it's a little bit self-shot here because I've been in leadership before as well, but this is as prepared as we have been for a session and as a caucus that I've seen in my time down here.
The reform agenda is all about making good things happen and changing a lot of things, frankly, that need to be changed. The trajectory that we're on with respect to government spending is absolutely unsustainable. We cannot move forward in that sort of a mode. We all know that. So what do we do then? We've got to look at what we're doing, how we're doing it, what we don't need to do, and then what we're going to do, how to do that better and more efficiently. So it's a pretty simple game, actually.
First of all, our reforms will look at the cost and quality of education, healthcare, and energy. Secondly, we'll pursue a growth-friendly tax structure to encourage job creation and economic prosperity. Thirdly, our reforms will address regulatory and permitting obstacles for job creators. Our priority is private sector job growth. We want to promote innovation, investment, and entrepreneurship to bring out the best of Minnesota and build long-term prosperity.
The bills that you saw last year about trying to reposition the state workforce, I think, are the core of what we'll probably propose going forward. Interestingly, the retirement projections of around 800 or 900 state workers per year, I think, were actually tripled this past year. So this question of whether we rehire behind that wave of impending retirements and lock in our employment cost structure for the next 30 years is still a really live discussion. So I don't think we're talking about tons of job cuts. I think we're talking about making sure that a private sector and a public sector employee know that they are being fairly compensated and that their benefit structures are comparable and that we have positioned and right-sized our workforce and equipped them to do the hard work that we have before us. So
keep healthcare affordable. And we want to keep it in the private sector because when private companies quit selling health insurance or providing it for their employees, then they wind up uninsured or going on to some state program, which we cannot afford them all to do. We want to spend our dollars wisely, both in the Medicaid system and help the insurers spend their money wisely. And we want to, and the other part, which you didn't ask about, the rest of our pieces, is to know what we're buying and to make sure there's no waste. So that's the healthcare side in a nutshell.
Really challenging things in Minneapolis and St. Paul is we have parents paying property taxes. They're sending their kids to a public school. They transition them to a public charter school, and that money is staying in the legacy system to fund kids that are no longer there. So that's a change that we're going to be proposing, is moving them into the charter school so that dollar follows the kid. Again, levies are not meant to fund a system, they're meant to fund a kid. And that's an important distinction and an important reform that you'll soon be seeing coming out of the legislature.